75% chance of dropping out of high school their freshman year.
Whoa.
And I try to keep them in school and help them and do whatever I can to make them successful.
Wow. So how do you calculate if a student has a 75% chance of dropping out?
The three main things that they look at is attendance, disciplines, and grades.
Okay.
And so that kind of tells them these are the chances of them dropping out of high school.
Wow.
So,
and that's taken when they're in middle school?
Yeah.
Those measures?
Yeah.
And then they say, okay, we have whoever it is that's collecting that data, maybe like the vice principal or something like that on those students. And then...
well, we use like that data is all into a program. Skyward.
Okay.
Like
Smart.
A lot of schools use, and then we just transfer it over to a different program, and it kind of gives us those
Gotcha.
Numbers.
Does it seem? How long have you been doing that for?
8 years.
8 years. Wow.
8 years.
Does it seem like that? Well, I guess twofold question. One, has that program? Does it seem like it's made a pretty significant effect on prevention of dropouts?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I wouldn't keep doing it if I didn't think that it helped. It really is. It's designed to where I'm actively involved in the kids' lives, which is pretty amazing. Because, not a lot of teachers with all the politics behind teaching are allowed to do that. So I get that opportunity to help them in a different way than a lot of other people can.
Right.
So that's always kind of cool. But last year I had 22 of my 23 seniors graduate high school.
Whoa, dude.
And I've had those people for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
So
super impressive.
It was a big thing for me. I was really happy.
That's like a reward, such a satisfying reward. And that means something.
Yeah.
Like that legit means something as far as like a lot of people's jobs, they don't have that type of necessarily tangible satisfaction seeing those rewards.
Yeah.
It's huge, dude.
Yeah. And it's sometimes like I've talked to different teachers and stuff, and they see those things later on down the road when they talk to a student, and because they've only had them for one period or 1 year, but I keep them for 4 years, so I get to
that's awesome,
from beginning to end watch their success. So
wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you with that program, do you end up doing most of it during school hours, like interactions, or is it more like, man, we're helping them going to their houses, helping with certain projects, or is it during sporting events, kind of hanging out? Or
I keep myself available to them as much as possible. So they have my cell phone number. They text me if they have questions outside of school or
That's
whatever.
cool.
And just yesterday when I was hanging out with Jordan, I had a student texting me asking questions or telling me about a school that they plan on going to and stuff like that. So I keep myself open to them all the time. I've gone to their houses before, especially if they miss a lot of school.
Sure, yeah.
And see what they're doing and
is that
figure out why.
Is this a pretty common program across most school districts, or is this pretty unique to your setting?
Not. It's a national program.
Okay.
So it's really big on the east side of the country.
Coast. Okay.
It's really big over there. It's been around since 1980. So it's been around for quite a bit, and Washington State, just got it when I first started.
Okay, gotcha.
And so every year we have to fight to keep it funded, but it's a fight worth fighting.
Man,
so.
But yeah, out of something that you can actually show proof of positive outcomes, that's pretty self-evident. That's legit, man.
And there's a lot of programs that focus on the middle group of kids.
Uh-huh.
And so I like this one because it really does focus and try to help the kids who might slip through the cracks or just be forgotten.
Right.
So
that's really cool. Interesting. Yeah, I heard a really interesting statistic actually about teachers, and about their pay. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I can't remember what. I can't find it exactly. I'll have to look for it. But it ended up being basically if a teacher was paid, and my math isn't going to be exact on this, guys, okay? But if a teacher was paid like a babysitter, basically they would end up having a pay of $420,000 a year, because if every single student was $10 an hour and they have 30 students, that times a school year basically somehow equals out to being around $420,000 a year, which is wow. that whole concept, teachers aren't even paid what a babysitter is paid per kid, essentially. Not exactly, and obviously babysitter pay varies, but that would kind of put things in perspective, right?
It would be a nice paycheck if that was the case.
Golly, That's the one, I think, field that seems like there's a gross disparity in pay where it's such a vital role.
Yeah. And, you know, I know it's going to sound cliche because people say it all the time, but you really don't go into teaching for the money. I mean,
right.
It would be nice, but
what if you did? Like, think about the potential net positive gain that would give to students if they was like, and I'm not saying there's not really good teachers out there either, but if there was a fiscal incentive to it too, like that would even somehow maybe push someone to even like work harder and provide more, you know, opportunities for those kids too.
It would. Yeah. I guess I never really thought of it that way, but yeah, that makes sense. Because I mean, you do get those. There are some teachers who just don't care and they're just there because that's what they've been doing. And
is it and I don't know, because from a collegiate level, I know that there's colleges where you have tenure, kind of where you're not allowed to get. Basically, it's really difficult to get fired. Is that something that high schools have or middle schools have, tenure?
You know, I don't know. I've never looked into it. I mean, I know there's.
You guys kept talking about the stream is fixed now, just so you know.
Okay. Well done, Jordan. Well done. Yeah, I have no idea. I haven't like seen that, but I kind of think that tenure is kind of a negative kind of thing as far as incentivizing a teacher to keep working harder if they know that no matter what they do, they're not going to get let go. So I don't know. Like in most professions, if you just kind of end up being really lazy and terrible outcomes, usually it's going to be tough to keep your profession, you know. But kind of an interesting thought. So Jordan here got all IT on us and had to fix some.
I had to go crazy.
Some streams going.
Yeah, Facebook. Yeah, I won't explain it. I don't know why they made the changes midstream, but that was fun. So they're back up. YouTube, I don't think missed a lot, so that's good.
Yeah,
you're on YouTube.
Yeah. So one of the topics we wanted to go over this week, guys, is we're getting a little funky this weekend, and we're thinking about going into a little ET world, a little extraterrestrial for those who don't know what that means. And we're also delving into perhaps a little bit of the Bigfoot concept. And I have thoughts about this. I'm sure Jordan has some thoughts about it.
I have many thoughts.
And Amador, I'm excited to hear. I heard you had somewhat of a encounter with perhaps a woolly, or not woolly, but
hang on just a second.
Oh yeah.
So this all started.
Yeah.
I said we're talking about this, and we haven't talked a lot about this. He and I.
Okay.
Even though he's been at my house since Friday night.
Yeah.
Mostly we just watched Spider-Man and tried to fix his truck. But his wife had posted a link as a joke on Facebook. So Amador's wife is my cousin. That's Lisa. She's probably not watching this right now.
Probably not. I hope she's driving.
Oh, she's driving. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, hopefully she's headed home, which Amador is going to be soon too. But I saw this link, and they were making fun of each other going back and forth, and he said, I don't know why you're making fun of me. You saw it too. And I said, ooh, 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 ooh. So I copied said link, and I said, we're going to do this. It was in the Columbia Basin Herald, which is a local paper to Moses Lake.
Yep, it's our local paper.
And it was a man, and I have the link up here if you want to switch over to that. A man that claims he saw Bigfoot.
Whoa.
And he's got like an imprint of the foot and everything.
It's titled "Hearing a Man." What did it say? Scroll up. Hearing Bigfoot, a life-changing event for Moses Lake man, and he's holding a large imprint.
Right. For those of you listening on audio.
Yeah, he's holding a large imprint
next to his foot. And it is a.
Do you know this guy?
I don't.
No?
I don't know this man.
I don't either.
He looks, guys. I mean, he does not look from first glance. He does not look like he's crazy.
Yeah.
But
he looks fairly sane. It's Rick Grazer.
Good old Rick
has no doubts about what he heard that Friday afternoon fishing in the. How do you spell that? The Quintolt Indian Reservation. Everyone in Moses Lake probably yelling at me now, like, "This is how you say it."
I have no clue how to say it either, so.
Anyway, so yeah, he heard it. This is the post. This is what kind of led us to this podcast. And it's like, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah. So
so you tell us your story to this, because we had to bring Lisa into it. It just wasn't fair to not. She did kind of spark this.
Okay, so before this happened, before we saw what we saw, just for anybody who says, oh, it could have been a bear, we've actually seen a bear cross the road before.
Yeah.
This was no bear that we saw.
Ooh.
So my wife and I were driving home. We take trips to the west side of the state all the time.
Your wife just joined.
Oh, dang it.
Beware.
You've got people saying hi. Stacy Schwab.
Oh.
Hey,
Stacy.
Sand?
Yeah.
Okay. She didn't say anything. She just has two wavy hands.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Maybe she's praising. Is that no?
No, it's not the praising hands. It's the waving hands.
That's a bummer.
No, sorry. There's no human worship going on here.
Dang
sorry.
Not yet.
Yeah.
It happened.
So anyways.
Lisa says stop saying we.
She was there. She just refused to post it on her Facebook. I don't know why.
Yeah.
She doesn't want people to think that she's crazy.
It's probably true.
But she is. I mean,
no, she's not crazy.
No.
We're all a little crazy.
Right. Yeah.
She thinks people would think she's crazy, but you're saying, you're not crazy. You saw what you saw.
She did see it, yes.
Okay, so continue.
But differently, she's crazy. So okay,
that's not fair. She's not here.
So we're driving on Highway 18, and it's a little cut of highway between Tacoma and North Bend.
Okay. Yeah. North Bend. Yep.
So it kind of gives us a little faster way to get home. And we're going up the mountain, and I'm going probably 80, 75, 80 around there, and it's raining.
Not an admission of guilt.
No, not at all.
Speed limit is different in Washington, guys.
Yeah, it's suggested.
Yeah. So we're driving, and as we're going up this mountain, like no joke, there's this huge beast on the side of the road.
Was this in your truck or?
This was in her car.
Okay. So it would be taller.
Yeah. And this thing looked like 12, 14 feet tall. It was just big.
So on the right, you're seeing it on the right-hand side.
Of the road.
And is it a hill on the right-hand side next to you?
Yes, there's a mountain.
Okay.
Right there, and it was just like right there on the side of the road, but it happened so fast, and there was no, like, the next exit was probably 4 or 5 miles away.
Oh,
so I couldn't turn around, and it's only one way going that way, and then there's a big gap, and then the other side of the road is coming the other way, so I couldn't go anywhere. Like, I couldn't just pull over.
Right.
I was going too fast, and I figured by the time I stopped, it'd be gone. So I told Lisa, I was like, you need to get on Facebook and post. Like, we just saw that. And she goes, no, I didn't see it. So I handed her my phone. I was like, this is exactly what I need you to write on my Facebook, because I saw it. Like, it was big. I
don't remember this post. I don't know how I missed
Every year that it comes back up, Facebook memories,
you share it
again. But
okay,
I'll share it when it comes up.
Awesome.
But yeah, so that was all I saw,
dude.
But it was like, it was definitely not a bear.
So okay, describe, like, I know obviously it's quick. You're driving fast. You drive by it real quick. When you drove past it, did it seem like it was something like on 4 legs? Like, was it walking on 4 legs? It was on 2 legs.
It was on 2 legs.
Hair, like long hair, no hair.
A lot of hair, but it was more, it was either dark brown or black. It wasn't like some of the pictures show like this light brown.
Yeah,
they're always fuzzy.
Right.
That's the problem. Mitch Hedberg. I love his quote. He's a comedian. May he rest in peace.
R.I.P.
He says Bigfoot, he believes, is fuzzy. He's just a big fuzzy monster. That's why we can't ever get a clear picture of him. And to him, it's more scary that he's never in focus.
So with when you're seeing this, like, instantly at first, did your head think, okay, I'm associating this is a bear, or did you think, like, I have no idea what this is? Was it like after you passed it where you're like, wait, was that Bigfoot? Or was it instantly you, like, knew I'm not familiar with this?
I saw Bigfoot.
Yeah.
That's exactly, it's the moment that I saw it, I knew that it wasn't a bear. Okay. I just knew, like, it was way too big, but I didn't.
Too big?
Yeah, to be a bear.
Wow.
Like,
well, there would be black bears. I think it's only northern Washington that has brown bears, so that black bear would be pretty small.
Right. Yeah.
But it could have been darker because it was wet. I mean, it was raining pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it was, I don't know. I just, when we first saw it, I knew that I hadn't seen something like that before.
Wow.
So that's how I knew that it wasn't just.
How close to the road was it? Like, was it like on the shoulder of the road, or did it look like it was like 10, 15, 20 feet off the road?
It wasn't. there's not a shoulder. I mean, there's a little shoulder, but like I said,
Yeah,
there's no
Highway
way to
18
pull
doesn't have
over
much.
or anything. So it was from where my truck was, I would say probably about 10 feet away.
Okay.
So it wasn't that
interesting. Super interesting. You know, I am a person that really finds a lot of joy in the concept of finding new life, I guess, out there. And the idea of Bigfoot is pretty dang enticing to me.
I would say I like it.
It's very enticing to me, kind of like how I like conspiracies, I think. Like it's kind of like a, I don't know, exciting concept.
You don't change your life for them, but they're interesting to ponder and to look at and to think about, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess like realistically, like real talk, I don't know what it was you saw. And it makes sense to me that it out of all the things it could have been, I guess a bear is the most likely thing I guess it could have been, because bears do stand up on two legs, obviously. You know, it was rainy, you said?
Yes.
It was rainy, you know, the bear maybe, I don't know, was...
Not even a bear standing up, though, would have a different silhouette than
would it?
a human.
I haven't seen a lot of bears.
They're like really broad. They're like one
standing
shape
by the
all
road.
the way up. Like,
and that's why, like I said in the beginning, is we saw a bear cross the road and climb over something. And
that's a good point.
So it was completely different.
That's a good point. You've seen that.
Completely different than that.
Yeah.
And you know, prior to seeing this, I never believed in Bigfoot. I always thought people who hunted it and stuff were weird. And
you didn't go out hunting.
Huh?
You haven't gone out hunting.
I haven't.
No, he's saying hunting for Bigfoot.
No, I know, but yes, that would be changing your world on a conspiracy. That would be different.
Yeah. So let's talk about this, guys. Can you guys think of a reason why why we would not have discovered yet a carcass of Bigfoot? Like, out of all the exploring and hunting and adventures that have been through the woods, if there is Bigfoot,
maybe they buried it.
How is it that we haven't found a Bigfoot yet? Like that, I mean, not just sighted one, but just found, like, 'cause surely, unless they're immortal, I don't know, like, unless they're like
Wolverine.
some type of Wolverine situation going on. Like, what would be a not necessarily even convincing, but a possible exciting concept that would account for why there's no carcasses of Bigfoot anywhere?
Maybe they're intelligent and they bury.
Right.
They're dead like we do. I mean, it'd be hard to, unless you exhumed them.
Yeah.
Find a human body.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's my biggest issue is all, like, I don't know what it was that you saw, and maybe it was some type of intelligent Bigfoot, but it does seem weird that we never find any of these dead bodies anywhere. So I don't know. I think that's interesting. So
maybe they full on Avengers style.
A super funny story.
they just evaporate. They're like,
that's really funny. They just degrade.
Mr. Sasquatch,
instantly.
I'm not feeling so good.
That's hilarious. Dude, so talking about Bigfoot and sightings of Bigfoot, I have to be honest with you. I was a culprit to a situation where many people now probably believe in Bigfoot. When I was in high school, my buddies and I, they had a really pretty convincing large ape suit that we were able to fit in.
I have always wanted like a gorilla suit.
Yeah, it was a gorilla suit or ape suit. Yeah, whatever.
And just jump out of a car randomly and run around.
So that's close to what we did. So we went out towards this area called Jordan, which is
not me.
No, not Jordan itself, but this kind of really rural area. And late at night, we got this ape suit on, and anytime we saw a car off in the distance, when they were not super close, but close enough where their lights would hit us, we started doing that slow-mo walk that you saw on the video, from the 60s, or not 60s, but it was 80s, I think. Yeah. That slow-mo video where you walk, where his arms were super lanky and his legs, and we walked across the road, and we did it probably 10 times, and like 4 out of the times, cars slammed on their brakes and like stopped in the road, and like we're looking around. Twice we had 2 cars turn around and go the other direction.
That is so beautiful.
Like, what is happening? They were freaked out about it. Yeah, so
there's still people in Jordan with PTSD.
There's still people out there right now that are traumatized, that will not go into the woods right now,
right?
Or have not gone camping since that time, probably. Oh my gosh, because of their fear.
Stacy Schwab, she says they are so good at being reclusive that they hide even better when they go to die, so no one would find them. Like a dog goes to hide when it dies.
So what do they bury themselves like in a hole and then like cover themselves up in dirt?
Caves are so hard to find in the middle of nowhere. Like there's so much unexplored land that we don't walk in.
Yeah, that is an interesting concept. If Bigfoot only lives in caves, like they breed in caves, they're birthed in caves, and then they go to live and die in caves. However, the kind of counter argument to that is, out of the millions and millions of people that are hunting every single year, eyes don't lie.
There's still a lot of land that we do not go see, that humans don't ever touch.
Yeah, and there are sightings though still. So that maybe that is still somewhat of a validity. But we have such good cameras now. I mean, we get so much recording devices out there
and satellites.
See, this might not be like any relation, but I think, what about when somebody goes missing? And there's a whole search party of hundreds of people looking at this,
and we don't find them,
and they don't find them. And these are areas that they've all, they know it's like their backyards. They know what's back there, but they don't find those people.
That's true. Yeah.
So
that's an interesting perspective.
Well, yeah, there was a really sad article this week that these ladies had 6 kids, adopted kids.
Oh, this is so sad. This is so sad.
They, for whatever reason, got to the point where they wanted to end their lives and the kids. One of them is still missing.
Right. So they didn't find the body.
So they haven't found the body, and they drove into the ocean.
Right. They were from, I believe, Washington.
Yeah.
Right, Washington State, and then
Woodland, Washington, which is up north of Seattle a little bit.
Right. And they drove south through Oregon all the way down into California. Yeah. And then they drove off a cliff in California.
Right.
With their
6 kids.
6 adopted kids.
Yes.
It was 2 mothers and their adopted children.
Yep.
And then what I had read an article on this recently too, and they had found one of the mothers, her like blood alcohol was like
5 beers deep.
Yeah, 5 beers deep. Yeah. Oh, and then the other mother, on her phone, it was looking up like easiest ways to die or something.
Gary
like
says,
like,
"Come on, Amador. Missing people are taken by Bigfoots."
Or aliens.
Oh, that's a good point. Who said that?
That was
Gary?
my uncle, his father-in-law.
Well said, Gary. I like that. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. But anyways, super depressing. But that's
but I mean, it's just it's an instance of we aren't able to find that body.
Yeah, but that was different in the fact that this car launched off a cliff into the ocean.
Yeah, but they even know right where it was.
Yeah, but that body could have easily just be floating or at the bottom of the ocean somewhere.
That's really bad.
And currents taking it away, and it could be in I don't know,
that's sad.
Pacific
that
Island
whole story
right
is
now.
Like
yeah, super depressing. Took a turn for depressing there real quick, but
okay. So Stacy, you just want to join our conversation, which we're cool with. I'm not putting you down.
Also, Jordan, I'm going to adjust your camera angle real quick. I want it to come down a little bit.
Totally do that.
Okay.
She said, "Or is Bigfoot an alien?"
Oh, who said that? Stacy?
Yeah. So I actually, little known piece of information we'll get to here in a little bit, but we just watched a documentary on aliens yesterday, and it's really good. I'll put a link up to it. Super compelling arguments and everything. And I thought about this last night. I was like, wait, what if these two things are similar, like in their origin? If we want to if we're going to jump down that rabbit hole, like we may as well jump down that rabbit hole.
Oh, guys.
Go all the way in.
I'm really excited about this.
And maybe he is, what if he got stuck here? What if he's like a time lord? His time machine broke, like
maybe.
I don't know.
So there is a gentleman, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce you to a gentleman. His name is Bob Lazar.
Yes.
Bob Lazar.
First, I thought it was Laser. That would have been pretty cool.
That would have been a really cool name for him.
It's pronounced Lazar.
But guys, let me tell you about him a little bit. So if you were around in the 1980s, there was a gentleman who
we
worked.
were.
We all were, but there may be listeners that weren't.
That's true.
And there was a gentleman who worked at a facility within or close to Area 51. And which
is specifically called S4.
S4, yeah, it was his station area, which is all within the security area of Area 51. And in the 1980s, he came out and started basically testifying that Area 51 that Area 51 contained technology that basically allowed for anti-gravity. And the reason he came out saying this technology needs to be released to the masses is because it had so much potential to have positive outcomes for the world.
And he felt our economic
stature, but also for the world and as a whole, it could have a lot of positive benefits. And he felt like it was a disservice to basically humanity that A, we were holding this technology back, but B, we were also not basically recognizing that there's extraterrestrial life out there.
That he was claiming that we had made contact. Now that portion of his story too, he was saying this isn't as, I don't know what I saw. He only saw like a craft. Well, 9 crafts is what he said.
Yeah.
And as far as like seeing any evidence of like aliens, he was like, I can't speak to that because I wasn't part of that. They kept us pretty cordoned off into the areas that we were working on. He was working on the propulsion engines.
Dude, but a cool part, kind of like a creepy thing, is he said he never saw actually aliens. Well, he said he may have seen like an arm of one or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But and guys, all this information we're getting from...
he was like, meh. Like,
yeah,
don't put too much stock in that. Like, I'm being truthful at what I saw, but it could have been anything. Like, I don't know. There was a lot of things there that I didn't understand.
Right. But Jordan, could you look up the name of that documentary so people could check it out if they want to?
Yeah, I'll put a link to it in our show notes.
Yeah.
I will pull. Actually, I have a picture of it. I'll pull up in just a second.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
You keep talking.
So, Bob Lazar, he now my first instinct is to be critical of this guy who maybe he's just trying to get attention, or maybe he's trying to make money off of this whole concept. But
he didn't.
He didn't gain anything from it. He was, by trade, he was a engineer / physicist and / chemist. And it's a really interesting thing because he admitted that he went to MIT.
This is the documentary, people.
I believe it was MIT.
Bob Lazar.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, right.
MIT.
So he went to MIT, and then he started working at this science facility in, was it California or Nevada, where they had a particle accelerator. And the crazy thing is, though, is when he went out and he started, explaining this crazy stuff that Area 51 has, this reporter who was was it a Peabody? Is that what the reward was? Like a super famous reporter. I can't remember
his name.
Yeah.
Gary, was it Gary something?
Gary Knapp, or
I don't know.
Anyways,
what
he tried to investigate. Okay, who is this Bob Lazar that's making these claims? And the crazy thing about this situation was he went to the school, he went to all these different places where Bob Lazar said he worked, and they had no records of him. They said, well, we have no records of Bob Lazar in this facility or working for us. But the journalist did a little more investigating, and then he found that in like newspaper articles and in phone Rolodexes and indexes, there was reference to Bob Lazar in those facilities. So, like, there was a news article saying, hey, we have a new scientist working at this new, not Hadron Collider, but basically like a particle accelerator.
Yeah.
And it would, like, showed a picture of Bob Lazar, showed that he's our new, new technician or whatever in this facility. So there was newspaper articles of him, but when you call the facility, there was no record of him ever working there.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Didn't one of them, like, do this little promotion or something because he did a rocket-propelled car? And
yes.
It was from one of those facilities
it was in his newsletter.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, we don't want to give away too much of the...
Well, I want to give it away because I want people to know what the heck's going on.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but I don't want to go... I mean, there's some of it that's kind of like a movie. Like, want people to watch it because
I want them to watch it, but I feel like a lot
of
of people might not. So I'm okay with talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing that I found, like one of the things that I found the most interesting about that documentary, again, for those of us that are joining us, I saw some people were just joining. This is a documentary about Bob Lazar. It's called Area 51 and Flying Saucers. If that like loses your attention right away, just don't. Just let's just have some creativity for a second. Even if you don't believe in it, it's super interesting to think about.
It is interesting.
Is the element that he mentioned, which is element 115. So for those of you that don't follow things like that, because I didn't either, element 115, as far as we looked it up, was said to be discovered in 2003, and yes. Bob Lazar was talking about it in 1988,
which is huge,
kind of a weird thing. And it's also something. It's an element that was discovered in the bigger Hadron Super Collider,
yeah,
and it's very unstable. And as soon as they identify it, seconds later,
it degrades.
It degrades and falls apart. We have not found a way to stabilize it, but apparently in this stuff, he was saying we had stabilized it, or the aliens had stabilized it, and we don't know how they did it.
Right.
And that was what drove these gravity engines. And so they think that it actually is the fuel to create gravity drives, which are, again, just like super complex. And you get out there and it's just like, whoa, it would change our world. And I think that's why he was like, guys, we can't just leave this. He described the effects of this element and these drives that would push and use this as fuel and create a gravity as a magnet that reacted to an opposite pole with no metal involved. Right. So as you put your hand closer to it, it is actually repelling.
It would repel your hand.
You couldn't touch it when it was on. And that was when he was like, this is something that we do not understand, and it's a crime against humanity that we are keeping this a secret.
So what he talked about in the documentary, he was hired by the government, technically the Navy, right?
Yes, the Navy.
Yeah. And he was hired to work as a propulsion expert.
Right.
At this, what do they call it? What was the name of the facility again?
S4.
S4. Yeah. So he was hired to work as a propulsion expert. And when he went there, they wanted him to kind of reverse engineer these propulsion systems. And when he started taking it apart, like Jordan mentioned, he found that this element 115 was... somehow they were able to make it stable.
Right.
And that was...
Not only that, make it into wafers and cut it into the shapes that they needed.
Yeah. And the thing
which
that's
was just another
the thing that's unique about element 115 is it's one of the densest or heaviest metals or elements that they've been able to make and create and find, ever.
So, would they say, I think, and maybe I'm getting my math completely wrong, but I think at one point I heard someone say that if we had that much of element 115 the size of the moon, it would weigh more than the sun or something. Like, its mass is that much more dense.
Right. And somehow he said he didn't go into details about this because I don't think he truly understood it himself. But he said this element 115, gravity acts differently with it, basically, because he theorized maybe it has to do with its density and the way that they're able to amplify the effects of gravity surrounding it. But yeah.
Well, I was going to say, he went through about how it was cut also.
Right.
And how it was in these cone shapes and stuff. And if you look online to see what element 151 or 115 is, it's two cones put together.
Oh.
So, and they're the points of the cones are touching each other. So
really,
he wasn't.
What is that?
Dude, he's on something.
Yeah.
But it's not a
I don't know what's that called, but I'm no math guy.
So
this is
this
is one of the pictures.
Yeah, this is great. Can you make it a little bigger?
Yeah, I can go full screen.
Yeah,
too.
go full screen that. This is pretty cool.
So this is what he drew and showed people that he saw.
So on the bottom there, what you're seeing is the anti-gravity amplifiers, right? And those could be turned and rotated left to right. Kind of, they can rotate up to 180 degrees, which then would change the direction that the craft would travel in by pushing against, creating the. It's like a. He gave a good example by affecting the gravity surrounding the vehicle. If you have like a bed, a mattress, and you put a bowling ball on the mattress, and then you
put your fist
in front of the bowling ball on the mattress, the bowling ball is going to roll towards your fist. So in the same way, those anti-gravity propulsion system basically affects the surrounding gravity around the ship.
They're not necessarily anti-gravity. They would be anti-gravity on Earth, but they're a gravity propulsion system. So
yeah, that's true. That's
true. If you think of a car, you're pushing something away from you in order to go forward. You think of a jet, you're throwing something at a very high rate behind you to move forward. These work the opposite direction. They actually pull you in the direction that they're going.
Yes.
And so that's
by affecting gravity.
Right. So flying saucers aside, that's how a gravity drive is in theory to work and would be pretty unreal to...
Well, maybe it is real though, dude.
Right, yeah.
But
even supposing it's not, it's a cool concept to think about.
So one of the most kind of validating things to me about this documentary is this situation that took place when he was talking to a journalist.
Yeah.
And he was... The journalist was wanting him to talk about element 115.
No, specifically if he took any.
If he took any. And so what the journalist did, first of all, he said, okay, are you willing to talk about this? And then he was like, okay, yeah, they were out and kind of like on a walk on the path.
They had an agreement. They said, I'm going to record this. Neither one of us is going to release it unless we both agree to do it. It's going to be on 2 encrypted drives, so it can't be sought.
So it wasn't released yet.
They put their phones in the ground.
Away from them. And turned them off.
Away from them and off. And then they recorded this.
Right. And then, so they recorded him talking about this element 115. Then, the very next day, and Grant, remember, their phones were off.
This is like recent history.
And away from them. They showed this on the documentary. The very next day, Bob Lazar, his company, which he works now as like a chemist and he sells different types of elements to different companies.
Yeah.
His company was raided by like 7 different federal government agencies. So FBI, DEA, even like the local county SWAT, sheriff, county, everything raided his facility the very next day.
Came in and imaged everything, tore everything apart,
collected his computers.
They had cordoned off every square meter in the entire place to search it, and
they told him they were doing that because they were trying to find a receipt from someone else that had bought some type of material from him like a couple years ago.
But happened to be a day after he talked about whether or not he had element 115.
Right, the very next day, which was like, this is really convincing to me that there's something going on outside.
There's at least something up.
There's something up.
At the bare minimum, something's up.
Because 7 different federal and state agencies do not raid your shop to find a receipt.
I mean, they can.
But why would they need that many people?
They just typically won't.
I know, for a piece of paper, like, that's just, come on.
Yeah. Something's fishy.
Yeah.
My thought is that somehow they're constantly, and he says he feels this way, he's always being watched. Mm-hmm. He's always being listened to, no matter what.
He definitely had an element of fear whenever he would
And that's not the first time he's been raided. He said he's been raided before.
Oh, yeah, many times he said. So, Amador.
Yes.
I don't think you have told him or Curtis your perspective, or not your perspective, your story of seeing flying objects.
Andrew, I'm really jealous of you right now. Like, I feel like you're getting to see all the things that this is what happens. It seems like most of the time, people that really want to see something like this don't see it, and then the people that have like no desire to ever care to ever see something like this, they don't see it.
You're looking for it, you know?
Yes.
It's like that thing that you're looking for at your house that you lost, and then you can't find it, but then when you don't care about it anymore, it's all of a sudden there.
Exactly.
It's kind of like how this is.
Exactly. Okay.
That's true. Yeah. This is funny. So Gary now says, I can't believe I'm on here searching the web about Bigfoot or aliens and now Wookiees, because someone was like, if Bigfoot is an alien, he could be a Wookiee. So, you know.
That's actually
a decent point.
Well, so are we saying that, what's his name? Not Spielberg. Who was it that directed Star Wars? George Lucas. Sorry, that's blasphemy that I would even question who was.
There's been weirder things that we haven't known in the moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he says, I can't believe I'm supposed to do this. Versus what I'm supposed to be doing at work. Number 1, it's Sunday. You should take a rest. And number 2, this is what we do here. We love looking up these different things.
But also, I really respect the fact that you're listening to this and watching this while you're at work, because I feel like that's a good...
He's kind of the boss.
That's a good thing.
So, but yes, I mean, if you go back and look at our other topics, there isn't a trend. And I mean, last week we talked about vaccines and mandating of them and what our opinions were, and now we're talking about aliens. I mean, there probably isn't anything too more opposite than that we could have gone to. So,
but okay, so
we love this. This is
Amador.
Awesome.
I can't. I don't know if I can wait much longer.
Okay, yes,
I need to hear what
you need to tell your story.
What the story is.
Okay, so again, my wife was with me on this one.
What's your wife's name?
Lisa.
This one she does admit to, right?
This one she does admit to.
We'll see in a second.
Yeah. If she's still watching, she'll be sure to comment. So we were actually hanging out at some friend's house in their hot tub late at night one time. And this is before we got one. So this is 3 years ago, maybe?
Yeah. I do remember you telling me about this.
Yeah. And we live out in the country, so it's dark. And really dark, and it was really nice out that night.
It gets really dark up there.
Yeah,
see the stars.
You can see the stars.
That's awesome.
And so we were looking up at the stars, and I'm not a big drinker, so I didn't drink anything that night. I was 100% sober, and so we're looking up at the stars and stuff, and I was pointing out satellites because you can see the satellites going through the night sky, and they just look like little lights or little stars, and just moving really quick.
Because you were looking for satellites, right?
Yeah, I was showing Lisa satellites because she's never seen them before. She never paid attention or whatever, so she's never noticed them.
They're kind of hard to notice unless someone actually points
them out too. Yeah, so I was showing her some, and we saw quite a few that night. And then all of a sudden there was one, and it was going, and I was like, "Oh, look at that one! That one looks a little bigger than the others." And so we're just kind of watching it. And I was like, this one isn't the same. Like, it was moving. It moved weird. It, at one point kind of switched to where it was, but it
didn't move in a constant direction.
Right. Not like the other satellites. I was like, that's kind of weird. We should just keep watching it. So we're looking up at it and stuff, and then it was weird. 2 other lights out of nowhere.
Didn't it stop at one point?
It paused, and then kept going. So then 2 other lights out of nowhere. I mean, I don't know if they were fighter jets or they were something else. I don't know what they were, but they came from opposite directions up into this one light, followed it for just a little bit, and then all of a sudden everything was gone.
What?
All 3 lights disappeared, just gone. What? It was wild.
Did they look like kind of small little pinpoint kind of size lights, or did it seem like they were larger than?
So the 2 that came afterwards, they were bigger at first, but then they got smaller as farther away they got.
Okay.
And then
trippy.
God, it was so weird.
Trippy.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So when we were watching that yesterday and he was describing gravity drives and everything, were you thinking that's the way that would move is what I saw?
Yes, it was, because it was a different movement. It wasn't the same as
it's very fluid.
Yeah.
I would tend to think that the likelihood of extraterrestrial life, meaning outside of this world, has a much higher likelihood than a life form on Earth that we don't know about that's not in the ocean. That's one thing where I think there certainly could be life forms that we don't know about in the ocean, because what's that statistic where it's 90% of the ocean hasn't been explored at this point yet?
It's so insane. The Mariana Trench was 6 miles deep. I don't know that we can even. Have we even sent anything down there?
Oh yeah, no, humans have gone down
to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's a long ways underwater.
They've gotten close to it. So, okay, here's a really cool.
That's where they discovered the Meg.
So yeah. So here's a really cool kind of concept, and I've told this before to a couple of groups of people. But as far as perspective about how large the Earth is, so the Mariana Trench is 5 miles or 6 miles deep.
Yeah.
Right. And then the Everest is 5 miles high. Right. Something like that.
There's 11-mile difference.
So 11-mile difference between the deepest place on Earth and the highest place on Earth.
Not a lot of distance.
So which 11 miles, even though you think about it, that's the size basically of Manhattan. That's the length of Manhattan, not the width, but that's the length of Manhattan in New York.
It's roughly 55,000 feet.
Yeah. So, but if you think 55,000 feet, that seems enormous.
Hey, my mom's on there. Hey, mom.
Hey, Mama Lambert. But if you think about this is a really cool concept. The size of the Earth is so large that if you shrunk the size of the Earth down to...
We were talking about this last night. This is so great.
Yeah, if you shrunk the... Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So if you shrunk the Earth down to the size of a cue ball, the Earth would be smoother than a cue ball, even with Mount Everest on it, and even with these enormous,
the tolerance levels of a cue ball is 0.005 inches, and it would be well within that tolerance rating.
Yeah. So the Earth is so large that even with Mount Everest, if you shrunk it down in proportion to the size of a cue ball, it'd be smoother than a cue ball. That's a cool concept to think about how large the Earth is.
Well, and to think about, like, we know so little. Like, if you think about, like, we were talking about this last night. It's like they show like cutouts of the Earth, and they're like, this is where the crust is, and here's the mantle, and the core is all iron. It's like, guys, no one's been there. Like 0 people have been there. No people, and we have the audacity to say that that's what's in there. Mm-hmm. Like, but there are ways that we can know.
No, but we really don't
quote
know.
Unquote.
I mean, but technically, I always, anytime I say technically, it's usually a joke that comes after it.
Yeah, it's true. You could tell technically signifies a joke and signifies everyone's going to be mad at it.
It's most likely lizard people that are
in there
under the subterranean.
I saw a hilarious thing the other day that supposed that maybe at the core of the Earth is where is a planet where everything lives on the surface upside down, and it's all dinosaurs, and as they die, that's why our fuel keeps not moving out. Is that they die and it gets absorbed into the Earth, and then we mine them, and we stick with this infinite source of dinosaurs dying in the center of the Earth.
So I just texted somebody, and I cannot name this person or this individual. They said no name.
No name.
However, they have had an extraterrestrial sighting that they believe, or I guess I don't know if I could call it.
Can you say a location?
A UFO. They saw it in the Willamette Valley here.
Cool. Okay.
And they were driving. Okay. And they said that I could tell the story, but I could not give their name.
Oh, sorry, Annie.
I know, right? So in this situation, they were driving along on a road, and there was 2 large hills on both sides of them. And as they were driving, they looked up and to the right by this hill, and they saw this large kind of football-shaped object. And this person thought it was a plane. But the strange thing is that the plane was just basically hovering above this hill. And it wasn't a cloudy day. It wasn't a rainy day. It was kind of looked like a shiny metallic thing, yeah. But shaped kind of like a football. And so they're driving close to it. And I'm trying to think about... I got to be careful with what I say because I don't want to give away. Anyways, I was with another person that saw this called because this person was very distraught.
Yes.
And they're saying, hey, I'm seeing this thing by this hill, and it's not moving, but it's like in the sky. And so I'm listening to this person freak out on the other line, and they're saying it's not moving and it's just hovering above this hill. And then they're like, well, okay. They're like, this person's thinking maybe it's just like some like hovering, I don't know, glider or something. Yeah. So all of a sudden, this person sees this football-shaped item drop down a little bit and then shoot straight up in the sky.
Whoa. Woo!
Straight up in the sky and then disappears.
Which will be consistent with how he explained how it flew.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And
this person texted me. Sorry, she said... It was stinging. That's 50% of the population. Cylinder shaped.
We're really narrowing it down right now.
Cylinder shaped. But like, and I was on the other line though, and when this thing shot off into the sky, this person was screaming, "Oh my god! Oh my god!" And then was heading to their destination and like was crying basically because they were so freaked out. And and there was no wings on this thing. There was no props. And they were freaking out, and so I trust this person like significantly, and this person would never want to see any type of UFO.
They didn't want to.
Would never want to have any
clearly
desire.
It didn't make them happy.
Yeah, no, and so like as far as I don't know what it was that they would have seen, but it does not make sense for a flying object to move in the way that it did.
And if you're going to make something like that up, you have to be really committed to it also.
It's true.
Totally.
Because, I mean, you're not going to call somebody in the middle of watching or seeing this and then freak out. Like that's great acting if it wasn't real.
Well, it's just like the documentary we were referencing is like it doesn't benefit him. Right. It actually hurt him.
Yeah.
He would have continued to work there.
Yeah, Bob Lazar.
Been able to work with this stuff for his life.
Yeah.
Right. He talked about how he lost money over this. He lost money over the situation.
Stature.
He didn't like go on media tours to make money. Like he didn't gain like a following where he sold coffee mugs. I'm Bob Lazar who saw aliens. You know, like he lost a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
And he even talked about if he could do it all over again, would he? And he said, I think I would have kept the secret. No.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that part.
Yeah. He said, I think I would have kept the secret. It was the amount of stress and strain it put him on. He said it was nothing that was enjoyable.
Well, and it's caused him and his wife so much anguish and stress and everything. And that's the thing that gets me is when I look at these stories, I'm like, are they trying to benefit themselves?
Yeah, totally. Where
are they not?
The motivation
if it truly is like to him, it was almost like a humanitarian decision.
Yeah. Kind of like honestly, it was like a Snowden, right?
Kinda.
It was a Snowden move where, Snowden revealed the CIA was snooping in on every conversation. And
although I do like the argument, and so this does hold a little bit of weight, and it's funny, is that if there were aliens that we for sure knew about and made contact with, there's zero chance Trump would have kept it a secret.
I don't know.
He would have tweeted it immediately.
See, I don't know. I don't know if he would have. I think there's
maybe not, but it's a funny thought.
I think there's things that if
we're gonna know soon, guys. We're gonna know real soon what we've got. Trump's gonna he's like post a picture about it. He's gonna start some controversy
because there's not like a financial gain for him to announce it.
True.
Like if there was some way he could gain or his family could gain from it financially,
hovering Trump towers.
Yeah, or hovering Trump tours.
You
know, because he had an airline. He had
Trump tours.
Trump tours.
It's like
he had
we just
airline,
changed businesses.
Yeah, but I think that's something that he would have. I don't think necessarily he would release it.
Mostly it's just funny.
Okay, so guys, getting into
sorry, I didn't say that first.
Getting into space a little bit here.
Oh yes.
Do you want to pull up this article for me about the universe and expanding?
Yes.
So guys, this is getting a little technical here.
So this is also really funny because every once in a while, Curtis and I will end up on the same wavelength. And for those of you who have never listened to us before, which it seems like there's quite a few people that are watching today that maybe have never heard of us. That's cool. Welcome to the show.
Subscribe, testing normal.
Yeah. Find us YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. But when we're on the same wavelength, I find it funny because we usually don't read each other's articles. We'll see like the headlines in our notes and stuff.
Right, but we put different headlines on our articles.
But we put different headlines trying to like bait the other person a little bit or something like that. It's a fun little behind the scenes thing that now you get to know about a little bit. And every once in a while, we'll have a few exact articles that are the same as each other. And this, my friends, is one that we were both aimed in the same direction when we put this link down.
So in this article, it's really interesting. It's from the nature.com article. And it talks about how a cosmologist who is a astrophysicist as well, he has come up with a new theory about whether or not the universe actually is expanding.
So what does that mean for those that may not be listening? Let's explain that first.
What astrophysicists theorize
at
is
a crayon level
from the origin of the Big Bang, and whether you have whatever your religious or scientific beliefs are, there's evidence to show that. Well, okay, that's getting a little technical. Basically, common theories today, as far as science go, believe that there was a Big Bang, an origin that the universe expanded from. Okay, and what they theorized and the way they kind of their beliefs were, this expansion was taking place because of something what's called a redshift. So what a redshift is scientists were able to look out past at the stars and see a different color of light waves, and those colors indicate a redshift. And so what a redshift is when an object moves away from us, its light waves are stretched into lower frequencies, which mean longer wavelengths. So, and we see the light as more red, and so they call that redshifted. So when they look farther out at more distant galaxies and more distant stars, the farther out they look, the longer those wavelengths get. So they theorize that the galaxy is continuing to expand because the farther out they look, the more distant those wavelengths get and more redshifted they get. Does that make sense, kind of?
Well, that's how. So, for those of you that are like, how do they measure some of these galaxies and all that kind of stuff, and how do they see out there and know like the gravity and all that kind of stuff? This is how they do it. They measure things by looking at it and how other objects react with other objects and how the light responds.
Yeah, light and it's not just.
And it's actually very, very accurate that they can measure certain things.
Yeah. So the new kind of concept that's going on here is that this physicist is theorizing that this redshift actually isn't necessarily that the galaxy is moving away from itself, but they have found that different size of particles, different particles emit different wavelengths based on their mass as well. So he's theorizing that perhaps these particles are actually just significantly have decreased in size because I believe the smaller the particle size, and I have to double check this, but the smaller the particle size, the more redshifted it gets. So the longer the wavelength gets. So he's theorizing that it may not actually be that the universe is expanding, but it could be that way far out, these particles are deteriorating and actually becoming smaller.
So how does that, for those that we just lost completely, what is that? Why does that matter? Like, if the universe is expanding, and that's the theory that we're kind of living in now,
right?
And it's ever expanding, always, constantly.
Yeah.
What does this change for that? Do you know?
It's a good question. I think there's this is what science is about. This is what's really important in science is oftentimes we have these theories and we get stuck in this idea of like we know this is what's happened in our universe and in our frame of references. The world is and the universe is continually expanding, but that doesn't mean that's absolutely true. Right. So by having this alternative theory and alternative idea,
he's testing normal.
He's testing normal, but he's also proving that we may not be right about the galaxy and how it maybe originated, but also not necessarily how it originated, but what's currently happening in our universe.
Right, and it could explain some things that we don't necessarily understand right now.
Totally.
With our current thinking, expansion may explain some of the things that we see going on, but it doesn't completely explain some of the other things.
Right.
And this might answer some of those
and
questions.
I think it went into a little bit into talking about how dark matter and matter, dark energy and dark matter interact with things. And that was something that got a little bit too complex for me.
Well, here's what's funny about dark matter. And for those of you like, oh my gosh.
Does it matter?
How far off this edge are we going to go? As far as we feel like. We get to digest some of this stuff, and you guys get to trust us for a second. But go fact check us.
Yeah.
We're totally willing to be wrong. It's interesting.
Totally.
So before I talk about dark matter, just so that people do understand, it's like this stuff does matter. Like it, to use a pun.
But
it's interesting, and it's the world that we live in, and the more that we understand about it, like it doesn't matter what your religious beliefs or anything are, it makes our world that much cooler. Even if you don't completely understand it. So with dark matter, that's this thing that they named it that, but they don't actually even know if it is matter.
Right.
It's all it is something.
A force.
It's something they've measured that is has a 6 times stronger reaction with gravity than other things. That's it. The end. The reason they call it black doesn't explain anything about it because they don't even know if it's that. It's just that they haven't seen it. And they call it matter, but we don't even know if it is something, like if it is or if it's just a force.
Right. Totally. What do you think about all that, Amador?
Yeah.
Is Curtis drinking milk? No. No.
No, it's got ice.
It's just crushed ice.
It's a White Russian, actually, guys.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't mind a little White Russian right now. Actually,
good.
I don't really like alcohol mixed with milk. It seems like the two.
Is that what a White Russian is?
Is it really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, White Russian.
I don't know.
Wouldn't it curdle?
I mean, gross.
Yeah.
Like, those are things that don't go together.
Hold on a second.
Like,
yeah, a White Russian. Oh my gosh. Listen,
oh
guys.
man.
Let me double check here, but I'm pretty sure a White Russian. Okay, so
Haley says Amador has a smooth voice for audio.
Amador has a great radio voice. Okay, so a White Russian, you can make it in different ways. I think in college we drank it with milk because we were poor, probably. But a White Russian is a cocktail made with vodka, coffee liqueur, and cream, served with ice in an old-fashioned glass. So, I mean, that's kind of milk, right? Cream.
Yeah, but it's gross
cream
sounding still. Now that I know it, I never want one.
Yeah, they're not great.
It's like the IT crowd. He always orders a White Russian. Like, do you know what that is? I don't know.
Dude, I'm a Moscow Mule guy. Sorry I interrupted. Any thoughts about that?
No.
It's not a Moscow Mule either.
You lost me with all that. That's like, whoosh. My mind can't go there.
No, it sure can.
It's too much for me.
But it's interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, I started just thinking when you were talking, just different jokes that I can make with all those things, but
yeah,
dude, bust them out, man. Love jokes. We're a joke guy. Dude, I don't know if you heard about this. I'm sure you probably did.
Okay, Gary, just to clarify, because he just said you guys are drinking something, but it's not milk. None of us are on any substances except for caffeine.
But usually we are on something. Usually we have a little alcoholic beverage. Last week I had.
That's true.
Sometimes
but not a lot. It's not. It's like sipping whiskey. It's not like we're like, okay, let's do shots before we go on so we can talk about crazy stuff. No, that's why we started this podcast, was because Curtis and I had way too many insane conversations, usually in a vehicle.
Yeah, usually in a vehicle or at a theater. And we're like, oh crap.
That would be an interesting short live stream sometime. Is just to hold the phone out and be like, here's a car ride with Curtis and Jordan, and it's insane.
And it's ridiculous. But really kind of a funny thing. Japan, I don't know if you heard about this, Jordan. Japan was doing a study in space.
On the meteor?
Yes.
And they fired a bullet at it.
No. Far more than a bullet, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, Japan is out there
Someone
right now.
did fire a bullet recently, though, at one, didn't they?
Well, it wasn't a bullet. Do you know what this was?
No, but a bullet's not going to make it up there.
No. Okay, good point. Yes. Yeah, it's like shooting in an airplane.
Go and pull up my article.
I will.
So Japan, what they did is they got plastic explosives. Okay.
Oh, this is different.
And they loaded it on a satellite, or on a spacecraft. They call it the Hayabusa 2.
That's like the motorcycle from Japan.
Yeah, maybe. Sure. Probably the same
200-mile-an-hour motorcycle.
But they loaded plastic explosives on this spacecraft, and then they launched the spacecraft into space, and then it's
a good place for a spacecraft to go.
Yep. It's a good place. And then they projected the plastic explosives to this asteroid, and then they blew off
the morning of April 5th. It's the Hayabusa 2. Did the first one fail?
Probably.
Oh.
But
they placed them on the surface of the asteroid.
It's called HMX. So all you out there that know how explosives work, they packed this spacecraft with HMX high explosives. And then once the mothership, they call it, reached a safety zone away from the line of fire, they detonated this explosives. And now what they're doing is they're landing the satellite on this asteroid, and then they're going to collect different material because they didn't want the stuff from the surface. They wanted more from the deep core.
It sticks on it for a little bit because it actually does have a little bit of gravity,
right?
And then it flies away and brings stuff back to us to see.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, but they were hoping to find rare minerals, and then also, of course, microbials that could suggest potentials for I think they actually call it prebiotics on the comet to suggest potential for life on other locations. So I don't know.
So all that stuff flying around in space is something I ran into the other day.
How so?
So the Earth is like a giant spaceship flying through our galaxy and following the sun and spinning around and all that. And it gains weight every year.
The Earth does?
Yes. From stuff that hits our atmosphere and dust that falls through and lands on the Earth. How much do you think it gains every year?
Ooh, great question. Ooh, I'm really excited about this. Okay, let me guess here.
Okay, you do it.
Every year.
Every year.
Okay. Every
For the
year,
layperson, every time we circumvent the sun.
I'm gonna go with.
Minus
I'm gonna
a day
go with 100,000 tons.
No, you're actually high.
80,000 tons.
Nope, still high.
1,000 tons.
No. 40,000 tons a year.
40,000 tons.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about meteors are super dense.
But it would take, I think it's either 300 million or 300 billion years for it to double in weight. That's how much that is an insignificant amount.
Dude, here's a crazy thought. Think about this, Amador. The Earth and people, okay? You think, okay, if we have more people, is the Earth going to get heavier? But those people are coming from the resources
already
on the Earth. So if we double or triple our population, the Earth shouldn't get any heavier from the people that we're reproducing, because all of that food and minerals and material is coming from what's already on the Earth. So if we have more and more people, the Earth shouldn't get heavier. Is that right? Did you hear what I was saying about
it
that?
Should get heavier?
But no, it shouldn't get heavier.
No, but it does, because the dust is coming in from space.
No.
But he's talking about people.
So like if our population continues to expand,
right,
we're just basically turning, dirt into humans. Or whatever, not dirt, but whatever, material into humans, and that material now is basically what the people are made of.
Our speed dropped. What? I was like, what happened here? You keep going, because we're still recording, but I'll try to get people back live.
Okay. Oh, our live might have dropped. Yeah. Anyway, so the one kind of crazy thing is, have you heard much about Europa, Amador?
I believe that's a moon, isn't it? Or no, that's a second Earth. What
no, yeah.
I heard
you're super
something
close.
similar.
So Europa is a moon. You're super close. It's one of the moons off of Jupiter. Okay. And so his telescope towards Jupiter, he saw 4 tiny points of light, and those are the Galilean satellites, the 4 largest of the 67 moons that orbit Jupiter. And the smallest of those Galileans, so the smallest of those 4, is Europa. And a lot of alien enthusiasts and scientific enthusiasts out there suspect that if there is life in our galaxy or our solar system, it's Europa. Because Europa contains a significant amount of water. And the statistics for Europa as far as how much water it contains, it was really cool. What was it? It was saying that Europa's water was basically, let me see, Europa's water this was Europa's ocean is 10 times deeper than the seas of the Earth. That's how much water Europa has on it. So Europa basically has, they were saying, around 1,090. So if they took all the water from Earth and all the water from Europa and put it into a sphere floating in space, Europa's water would form a sphere 1,090 miles across in diameter. But all the Earth water would form a sphere 860 miles across. So there's that much water on Europa, which is super, super crazy to think about that.
Somehow we lost speed, guys. Sorry about that. I've been having to play 3 roles today. So
dude, bob and weaving, I like it.
Boop boop
boop boop boop boop. Yeah. So if there is extraterrestrial life or microbial life, the likelihood of it is on Europa. If anybody out there is wondering.
You posted this and I don't see the link now.
Well, it's I think I just posted it on Instagram.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So if you want to see it, you can go to our Instagram page, and you'll see it.
Yeah, but life could be out there.
And follow us on Instagram. We're funny.
Yeah, we try to be.
That's my entire spiel.
Super good argument, man.
The end.
Super good point.
We do post when we're gonna go live if we change the time. Like today, we went live at 2 instead of 4.
Right.
And that brings up a really good question. So for those of you watching, and we're gonna ask this question out to people too, we're pretty restricted to going live on Sundays. And really, we don't mind if people watch later. Live is really just a bonus if you're around. But I tried to put up a poll, and for some reason, Facebook's being weird today. So
we're going to try to get little polls that you guys can interact with.
Yeah, that you guys can interact with. But the one that we're wondering about is, what time would you prefer that we go live on Sundays? When are you mostly free? And if you do want to watch it, if you don't, then that's fine too.
Yeah, iTunes it up.
Or just don't. You're no, they're weird. So, but if you have weird friends, tell them about us, and we'll be weird together. So, but yeah, we would want to know when you guys would enjoy that the most. We've been thinking about going later in the evening, but
yeah,
who are we to know?
Right. So. Yeah, dude. So thinking about weird stuff and traveling,
since we haven't already done that.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to think about weird stuff, but
I'm trying to.
kind of a cool. This is kind of a shower thought, which I could save for later, but I just want to bring it up now when we're talking about space and travel and all this stuff. Kind of a cool thought about is if you were to travel like in time, okay, and you go back in time and meet yourself, right? You go back in time, you meet yourself. When you come back to your current normal time of existence, you'll remember the encounter from both points of view at the same time. So you'll remember going back in time and meeting yourself.
Yeah.
And then you'll remember yourself coming and meeting you.
Immediately.
Isn't that a trippy thought? That's kind of a mind twister.
That's wild.
Since we're all out there, like we're like,
I love that idea. Like
we have jumped off the cliff. We are barreling towards the ground. What do you guys think about time travel?
I love it.
No, okay.
I feel like it's
but you don't love it in a way that you've done it. But you.
Okay.
Do you think it's happened?
Know?
Well, let's ask Amador first. I want to know what he thinks about it.
Time travel.
I don't believe in it.
Really? Do you think it's possible?
I don't know. I have a hard time, believing in like parallel universes and all that stuff. And I don't see. And my mind can't.
Bigfoot,
right? Because that's real.
And aliens.
Those two things are real. I have seen those things.
So those aren't hard for you to imagine because you've seen them. Duh.
But it's a hard concept for me to think about. Like I could go back and relive this moment again, or even go into the future. Like those things haven't happened, so how can I go there? I don't know. It's weird to me.
But have they?
I don't know. That's what I'm wondering.
What do you think, Curtis?
I think that I think that to travel in time, it would require you to. I don't think you can travel back in time. I think you can travel forward in time.
Really?
But I don't think you can travel back in time.
So could you travel? Well, technically, okay. So technically speaking,
you can. It's proven that you can travel forward in time.
I have a box at my house.
I'll tell you about this.
I have a box at my house that is a time machine, and whenever I get in it, I go forward in time at a 1-to-1 rate.
Right. So we're all traveling in time. But I mean, I believe that you can travel in time faster than what we're currently traveling.
Oh, so like
they've proven that. I mean, Einstein's theory of relativity
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're traveling through time faster.
If you go through time forward, you're stuck there. You're not coming back.
Yeah, I don't think you can travel back in time, but I think you can travel. Obviously, it's proven that's why satellites that perform GPS measurements have to be adjusted because they actually are traveling at a speed faster. They're traveling through time faster than we are on Earth. So the closer you get to areas of gravity, the closer. This is such a cool concept, but this is obviously not a new concept. The closer you get to large, dense objects, the slower time becomes. That's why they call it space-time.
If you watch Interstellar, the math that they do is it's dead on.
Ooh, guys, I have to go to the restroom real quick.
Yeah, Curtis is going to the restroom.
Per usual.
But here's what I think on time travel, and Curtis is going to miss out. And he's running. He's like, oh, I gotta go. I think we do not have a perception of time that is right. Like, I think that we have a perception that is right to what we can see, what we can perceive, and how we interact with it. But I don't think that we possess the ability to see time for truly what it is. Meaning that we think of time as a linear A to Z, and all the letters are in order. And I don't think that it works that way. Like, I think it does for us, but I don't know. I don't think on even a large scale, not even speaking an infinite scale, that it is limited in those ways that we think of it. So when we think of time travel, I think that we think of it incorrectly. We think of it's going to the future. We think of it as going to the past, but it isn't that. That's what I think, but that's with my tiny mind stuck in a linear line of path. So I would I say disagree, but it really doesn't matter. I would disagree with Curtis that you can't go back in time because I don't think direction works like that for time. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Okay. So Curtis, I'm gonna bring you up to speed.
Ooh, okay.
I disagree with you that you can't that you can't travel back in time.
Oh, I love to hear why.
Here's why. Because, and for those of you who are listening, like I have to listen to this again. I'll do it much quicker this time. because it's Curtis.
Sorry, guys.
And he'll ask questions.
Sorry.
I think that we have a perception of time that is not wrong, but is it's a very linear view because that's how we are stuck in it. So we think about time travel going forward and backwards. We aren't thinking of it correctly. That we think of time from A to Z and every letter in between goes in order, but time is actually a dimension that we interact with in that way, and that is the only way that we can interact with it. And so that's how we see it, that's how we perceive it, and when we think of time travel, we're thinking of it incorrectly. We're not. So I think you could go back in time because I don't know that time is a set thing. I think it's fluid.
Okay. So it is relative. Obviously, time is relative, right? So the perspective of if you're time is relative because if you're a million miles away from the Earth, time is passing differently than if you're sitting on the Earth.
Right.
And I guess where you're getting at, Jordan, is kind of getting on the quantum level. I don't know if you've studied this or looked into quantum theory at all.
If we go down that rabbit trail, we are definitely going to be here way longer.
But real talk. Okay, no. Here's. I guess this is where I would say certain particles are they've shown that there's a quantum link between certain particles. So that's where I guess I would say like this particle or quantum interactions.
Yeah.
So a particle that may be 600 million miles away from us.
Or even 6 miles. I mean, you don't have to even get that crazy.
Yeah, even 6 miles. It could be in a different time than where we're at currently right now. So if just for mind what do you exercise? A particle is 100 million miles away from the Earth, and it's near a black hole. Time is passing significantly different, and they're in the future compared to where we are right now, or we're in the future compared to where they are right now. As far as time is passing differently. Mm-hmm. So that's where I guess those particles, where they interact with each other and maybe intertwine with each other, are at different times.
So that's where I think that we think of the time travel as not in the right way. I don't think that we could go back and change what's happening now. But I think that we could go back and definitely have an effect on what's happening now and maybe already have. Does that make sense? Like it's
Man, I don't know.
It's set, but it's not set, and it's set in a way that if it's going to happen, it's going to interact in the past, and it's already taken place, but it's going to take place.
So
does that make sense?
How does Marty McFly?
I think that's an incorrect perception of time. I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, I agree. I obviously we haven't figured out time travel yet, so I think that we're just fiddling around with this concept.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully don't think that I'm right either.
Yeah, but it is a fun way of it's a fun mind experiment to think about. What you're saying basically is that time is not linear. Obviously, time.
But we are experiencing it linear.
Yeah, we're experiencing it. Yeah, linear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so kind of like Interstellar, to those of you that haven't seen it, plug your ears for a second.
Great movie.
How he is
Matt Damon.
How he is a
No, not Matt Damon.
Not Matt Damon.
No, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. Yes. There you go.
Pretty close.
How he is interacting with getting his daughter the information, she's already gotten it. If you watch the beginning of the movie, he's already interacting with her, but he hasn't done it yet.
Right.
And then he goes on to do it. He's destined to do it. It's going to happen. So it's set in both places, but it's already happening and already hasn't happened at the same time.
Right. Well, and even how the humanity is interacting with him when they're traveling through space.
Right.
Before they...
That's what I'm saying. But at the beginning of the movie, his interactions that are going on are taking place before he does them.
Right.
So he hasn't done them yet. He's going to do them.
Hi, Jordan. Hey, Jordan Orr. Just saw that you're...
Yeah, she's on.
Watching.
That was our last guest.
Yeah, our last guest.
Represent. She was super fun.
Great stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, that is really interesting.
Yeah,
time as far as that aspect goes.
Yeah, again, these are things that are like super fun to sit and think about and everything. But I like conspiracy theories in the sense that they're fun. Mm-hmm. But I don't like them in the sense that people change and wrap their lives around them and go bananas because of them. Like,
totally,
life goes on, people. Yes, you still have to go to work. Yes,
but can you
still
imagine
have
if this
to treat
was your
kids
job?
Nice.
If that was your job, like every day, to be thinking about something like that,
I think I would go nuts.
Probably.
Like I would need something to ground me.
Right.
Like to be like you'd need to get outside and just like go experience nature and not think about that stuff.
And run into Bigfoot while you're out there.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like hard evidence.
So one thing I did want to bring up, and maybe you could tell me if this is a good idea or not a good idea.
You do it.
But I wanted to just bring a quick note from last episode.
Yes.
About, we had brought up, there was a question, Jordan brought up a really good point that I hadn't even thought about addressing, as far as the concern for vaccines being made from aborted fetal cells.
Oh, yes,
and
I did see this.
I wanted to clarify that real quick.
I was supposed to send this article to her.
Sorry, Jordan. I asked my Jordan here to send you this, but he forgot to.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring this up real quick because I know that some people have had concerns about this, as far as vaccines including aborted fetal cells. And so what happened was, and this link, we're going to have this link posted.
Yeah. We'll put it in these show notes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But what had happened was, there was 2 human aborted fetuses. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what happened was they collected certain cells from these fetuses in the 1960s. Okay. And then these fetal cells divided into many more cells. And then they used those cells to help grow and foster these viruses that they used for vaccines.
Right.
So they are fetal-derived cells in current day. However, laboratories have not used any new human fetus cells for the past 50 years. Like these are human cells, true, that have been used to help grow in like a medium or agar these vaccines, but they're not currently used human fetuses.
Which still, and just to give argument to the people that they'd be like, well, I still don't agree with abortion. It still is there and all that kind of stuff. But it is good to clarify. Like, it's not. They're not like doing it right now actively.
It's not like both of our discussions. It sounds like I wanted to just kind of clarify that. Hi, Sam. And there was a who?
Sam.
Which Sam?
Sam D.
Oh, Sam D. What's up, Sam D? So that, as far as human fetal cells, I just wanted to clarify that's where they came from. And actually there was a big controversy in the Catholic Church, in even
controversy.
Yeah, which controversy? But in 2005, the Catholic Church actually had to make a statement about this because people were concerned about human fetal cells, and they said, if this was an aborted cell, should we be vaccinating our kids?
Right.
Because this is used by the Catholic Church. Obviously, has not been proponents of abortion, and so there was a lot of people concerned that, is this a sin? I'm getting vaccinated because my children are being vaccinated by an aborted fetus, which isn't completely accurate. So that was something that a lot of religions and people had concern about. But
so when they're talking about abortion
go
cells or whatever, are they
good bathroom? Yeah.
Like, are they? Is it an actual real abortion? Because when a woman has a miscarriage, it's called spontaneous abortion. How do they know it's not a cell from that? Like, does that change their thought or how they feel about it?
Right. Yeah. So those 2 fetuses that were aborted in the 1960s were elective abortions.
Okay.
So they weren't, and you're totally right though. If a woman has a miscarriage, they do call it abortion. Yeah. Or even if a woman has, bleeding and they're concerned about possible demise of a fetus, they'll call it, a threatened abortion or something along those lines. So you're right. It's still the same terminology, but those were elective abortions in the 1960s that they've used some of the cells from those fetuses. So that is kind of a clarification. There's not any current collection of fetuses being used for vaccines today of new, elective abortions. Right. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to throw out there. But so sorry, I know we changed subjects real quick there from aliens back to vaccines and abortions, but I just wanted to clarify that from last week because that was something that I was like, I really wanted to research that and make sure that we knew what we were talking about. So yeah, there was something. Okay, so we were going back to trying to transition here, going back to aliens. Of course, what else would we want to talk about? There was a subject that we were going to go into. We were talking about time travel. Matthew McConaughey. Is that right, Matthew McConaughey? Yeah. Oh man, what did it have to do with? Oh, I think it had what was it I wanted to bring up? Oh, It's like right on the edge there. I can't remember what it was. Anyways, that's okay. So, well, going back to Bob Lazar though a little bit. Bob Lazar and this physicist / not astro, but engineer guy. I was thinking a little bit about his choice to come out to the media, and thinking about this documentary that he made. I was kind of curious, like, what do you think incentivized him to make a current day? What do you think incentivized him to make this documentary again? Because I was thinking he was kind of talking about he wanted it to just forget it, he wanted to let it go, but they didn't really talk about in the documentary why he again rehashed this drama.
It seemed like he kind of had to be talked into it.
Yeah, because in the beginning they kind of talked about how he, if you catch him on a good day, he'll talk. If you don't, then so it makes me feel like the guy spent a lot of time creating this documentary, and just showed the days that good old Bob wanted to actually talk about it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's how I don't know what else you guys talked about, but that
we were talking about
on that. That's my take, but
why you brought it back. No, there's something else I wanted to broach on Alien, but I can't remember what it was.
Well, here's one that I have real quick. It's just funny because you brought up the whole the concept of dressing up as a gorilla or monkey and tricking people. Is that and if you want to bring this up, it's just the Reddit picture for it, but it says today I learned in 1948 a man wore 30-pound three-toed lead shoes and stomped around a Florida beach in the night. The footprints led people to believe that a 15-foot-tall penguin was roaming their lands. He kept up the prank for 10 years, visiting various beaches. The hoax wasn't revealed until 40 years later. So it was in the 80s that he finally, like, everyone had died and everything, and someone brought to light that he had made these with his boss and had done this, and people had like all these sightings of it and everything, and he kept doing it and creating these giant footprints on the beaches and tricking people, just kind of like you did as a kid.
That's hilarious.
I thought that was super funny.
Just real quick, when you were doing the gorilla thing,
totally,
what would you do if a car did turn around and catch you? Like,
that's a good point. You don't think about those things.
I know you don't think about those things, but now, if you thought about it, what would you have done?
Like, if they would have like tried to hunt us or chase us down, I think I would have just ran. Like, I think I was fairly fast, so I felt like pretty confident that I could escape someone. But I was in a monkey suit, and I wasn't super like wasn't very like free moving. So I probably would have got caught, and they probably would have beat me up. But we had a decent sized group of guys as well. So I think that bolstered my probably my confidence to a point that wasn't healthy, probably a little bit. But yeah, no, that was definitely a fun adventure growing up doing that for sure. But not probably the kindest thing to be doing to somebody, but it was definitely an adventure for sure, nonetheless.
Yeah. So that was one thing I saw that, and when you were talking about that earlier, I should have read it up then, but I was like, I was looking through the notes and I was like, oh my gosh, that's funny.
And have I brought up the concept about how long? I think I have, but how long it would take us to get to the nearest possible feasible?
Yes, we talked about the end of one of them, and then I brought it up the next episode that if technology improved, because it's like 100 years,
right,
to get there. And I brought up the concept of if they started traveling because of the way that everyth's revolving.
And sorry, real quick. So guys, we're just bringing it up again real quick because we're talking about extraterrestrial life. Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about how long it would take to get to the nearest possibly habitable planet from here. And with our current technology, they estimate we could potentially get there in about 100 years.
Right.
Or it was either that. Yeah, it was about 100 years.
100 years. If we started now.
100 years. Was it? But it was either it would take 100 years for us to get to that planet, or it would take 100 years for us to develop the technology to be able to get to that planet.
I don't know.
No, I think this is what it was. It was 100 years to get to that planet. But the crazy thing is, in 100 years, we potentially could develop the technology to allow us to get to that planet before the people that originally left to get there in 100 years.
Right.
That's a crazy thought.
Yeah. If people showed up before, is that what you just said? Yeah.
They, like in 100 years, the technology could be more advanced to get you to that planet before the people that left 100 years ago.
Yeah, they would. I think that's your phone.
That's all right.
I was like,
that's
what
cool.
the? Yeah. It's a super crazy concept. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I want to hit on before we kind of jump into our random shower thoughts here. Daylight savings time might be going away in Oregon.
I would love that. I'd love to get rid of daylight savings time. And Washington. Because it's already not there in Nevada, I believe.
Right.
Nevada and maybe
California
other
voted that if we do it, they'll do it. I believe that's where they're at. Oregon has a stipulation that Washington needs to pass it as well. Yeah. But it's already passed our Senate.
Drop it like it's hot, man.
And the governor said she's cool with it. And so it's got to pass the House. And once it does, then it's just waiting on Washington.
Golly, that'd be beautiful.
That'd
be beautiful.
No more time changes.
Okay.
That's a cool thing.
That's a really cool thing.
And Oregon is now officially, this is kind of cool. This is like a local legend. Oregon is officially the last, so Bend, Oregon is the last city on the planet.
Right.
And last surviving location of Blockbuster Video.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something to be proud of.
There's one that's survived.
It's succeeding because it is the last one.
Yes.
That's why it's
They weren't until just like this last month.
Totally.
There was one other one or something like that.
In a different country, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it shut down, and now they are the last Blockbuster Video.
Have you ever followed them on Twitter?
Yes. Yes.
I love their posts.
It's so it is pretty funny. Yeah. Those are just random things.
Okay, guys. So we're gonna shoot out. I think. Are you good? I'm good for this. I think I'm down for the shower thoughts.
Yeah, I'm down.
Just want to go alternate back and forth.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Amador, do you have any good shower thoughts?
No.
Did you have any links real quick you wanted us to talk about, or anything in particular you were kind of like thinking about?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Cool.
No,
yeah. Sweet.
Okay, so I'll start us off. All right.
You go.
So first shower thought here, guys. On the topic of seasonal allergies. Basically, seasonal allergies are just a superpower that humans possess that allow you to know when plants are having sex. Basically, that's our human.
You're the canary in the coal mine.
Many humans have
Leave
this
them alone. They're doing their
superpower
business.
that allow you to know when plants are having sex.
All right, here we go. Another one.
Okay.
If you identify a UFO as a UFO, then it becomes an FO. Unless it has landed, then it's simply an O.
That's true. Wait, yeah. It's funny how your mind has to twist around a little bit.
Wait. No.
Wait. No. Oh, there he goes. Okay. So, do you guys think this is kind of just more of a thought? Some of these are questions. Is it more relaxing having a day off, or knowing that you have the next day off? Because oftentimes when I go to work and I know I have the next day off,
it's chill.
It feels so good. Like I know tomorrow I have peace.
Yeah.
But when I have that next day off, but I know I have to work tomorrow, it doesn't feel quite as relaxing. I don't know. You thought about that?
I don't know. I've never put thought to that.
never really thought about that.
So that's interesting. Some people may feel differently about that.
Yeah. So speaking of work, if you work 40 hours a week at an office for 20 plus years, you will have seen your coworkers more than you've ever seen your parents, siblings, or spouse.
Totally. Oh, that's so sad. You got to work from home, man. Totally different subject. Giraffes. Let's think about giraffes for a second, guys.
That's nearly the same subject.
Are they real?
Think about how long it must take a giraffe to take a deep breath. Or think about how long it must take a giraffe to burp. Think about that. They're literally feeling that burp travel up. I don't know how long their necks are. 12 feet or something like that? Think about that thing just traveling.
You don't know for 10
up.
minutes.
I mean, they know in the morning time they're going to have a burp and it comes out at nighttime.
Yeah.
That's just a super random one.
That's
but
a lot of power to get.
A lot of muscle.
To get food.
Yeah, peristalsis.
You probably couldn't do CPR to a giraffe.
Good
right.
Heimlich
ain't going to work on
You have to
giraffe.
run to the other side of them and then run back to do
that's
compressions.
a great point.
You'd need at least 3 people.
Next one, Jordan, what do you got?
One day, everyone in your group chat will be dead, and the chat will sit there in silence for eternity.
That's sad.
That's sad. Wah, wah. Jordan the downer.
Well, so my best friend died when I was fairly young.
Mm-hmm.
I was 20-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a call one day, and his name popped up. Most terrifying phone call I've ever gotten in my life.
Wow.
His name popped up on my phone. I was like, whoa. And it turns out it was a wrong number. Someone had gotten his new phone number randomly called
The
me.
odds of that
That's
are
crazy.
insane.
That's crazy.
Insane odds.
Super scary moment, though. That is stuck with me.
Okay, so my kids watch the Magic School Bus frequently. And
Giraffes dying. Magic School Bus.
Mrs. Frizzle frequently says, to buckle up, but school buses don't have seatbelts.
True.
Or majority of them don't have seatbelts.
In the front they do. Or small. Maybe it's a short bus.
So think about
strap them in.
Think about that. Like that's hilarious. Like
my daughter rides the short bus.
Yeah.
And she gets strapped in.
Yeah. So most school buses though don't have seatbelts, and she always says, "Okay, buckle up, students." So this is funny, and we also talked about that a couple weeks ago. How school buses don't have seatbelts, and it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right. It's good that they don't.
Yeah, it doesn't. Okay. Here's something to chew on for a second, and all of you out there are going to disagree right away, but you'll be wrong.
Drop it.
Your car keys have traveled further than your car.
Only because they're moving with you when you get out of the car.
That's why. That's
right.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good point. Good perspective. Another interesting perspective is that when you say forward and backwards, or when you say forward and back, your lips move in that direction. Forward.
Yeah, that is weird.
Back. Forward and back. How many people are going to be listening and they're going to be saying those exact words right now? Forward and back.
Here's a joke that will kind of test our audience's ability to take dirty jokes. I wasn't allowed in a fraternity in college because I was circumcised.
Yeah.
Apparently, you need to be a complete dick.
Or basically, you just didn't. You apparently you just didn't meet the cut.
I've read that so many times.
Did you hear that? You just didn't meet the cut.
Yeah. There you go. Yes.
So next one is behind every single travel blogger is a rich dad.
It's true. It's so true. A solar-powered home is using the power of the sun to cool down the house, which is being heated up by the same sun.
Ooh, that's cool. I like that. So last shower thought I got.
Ba-boom.
Oh, wait, no. That's it. I had them all.
You said all of yours?
Yeah, I said them all.
Maybe I did too.
Yeah. See if you got any more.
Yeah, they're dumb though.
That was it?
Yeah.
Sick.
I'm going to call it.
Sick. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this abstract, unique universe.
Yeah.
And Amador, it was a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Thanks so much
wait.
for joining us.
Before we go.
Yeah.
I have something for Amador.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, we got a little something for you, Amador.
For joining us.
Little guest.
And the other guests, if they're watching, they're like, well, I didn't get anything.
Where's my gift?
I might have something for you shortly. But that actually, I might have something for you. So don't think you're not going to get nothing. But we got you something.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, the other guests, we might be trying to get you a gift as well for coming on.
These are some stickers. This one.
Break for Sasquatch sticker, guys.
Yeah, look at that.
Classy sticker.
Probably, if you do yours.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, that's me. There you go. Break for Sasquatch. And because you came to Oregon, here's one.
Represent Sasquatch. Now you know this
right.
in real life here, Amador.
There you go.
For you, man. For you, bro. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Testing Normal.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's
Subscribe on iTunes and every other platform out there.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them.
Everything helps.
If you like us, let us know. If you don't like us, let us know. Ups, downs, all around. And
we have to be okay with that.
Yep, that's right. And if you have any good questions, any good topics, any things that you think are really...
or if you're like, hey, this person would be super interesting, you should try to ask them. We have a really cool lineup coming up.
Yeah, we got some fun peeps coming as
well.
well.
You guys are going to... I'm excited about it, so maybe you guys won't be, but I'm excited.
Super stoked.
We've got some awesome things in store.
That's right.
Next week's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking to the biggest Kiss fan I have ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And that is...
It's always good.
It's not really... I guess it's not saying a lot for me, but it's saying a lot for the world. So,
cool.
Anyway, yeah.
All right, peeps.
Yeah.
We love y'all. Have a great weekend. Keep it safe.
See ya.
Peace.